Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Fallout New Vegas. So, we had seen this building before, and it turns out it's an NCR camp called Camp Golf. And so we finally got a quest that sent us to Camp Golf, which we'd never even investigated. And when we were working on this Return to Cinder quest and finishing that, we got a new quest to talk to the Misfits about improving their squad, which will probably lead to even more quests. So what we need to do is find out if any of these are misfits. Seems like all of them have unique names, so we might just straight up go on runs with them. Mags seems to be the best quality misfit.
The big celebrity down here with the common troopers. What can I do for you?
Let's see. Let's not start with the big question, and let's try and exhaust the dialogue
Not much
fairly
to tell,
quickly.
really. I grew up in New Reno, joined up, took my shot at being a ranger, didn't make it, so I'm stuck with this crew of jokers. Gee, I don't know. Maybe because I'm saddled with the worst damn unit in the NCR Army. Think that might have something to do with it? Yeah, I mean, no. They're okay people, but they don't care, you know? They don't have any ambition, no drive. They're slacking off, and that reflects badly on me. Please. Camp Golf is where they shuffle off anybody they don't want anymore. Assignment here is a career ender. Easy. This is where they send all the fuck-ups and people they don't want. But hey, it's not like I'm bitter or anything.
Some repetitive dialogue here.
I guess I wanted to make something of myself, you know? Be the best of the best. I wanted to be a ranger, but
I wouldn't be surprised if this turns into just a bunch of speech checks, where we have to give inspiring speeches to each of the characters.
He did, huh? Well, good luck with that. You'd have an easier time teaching rad roaches to march in formation. Well, if you ask me, what we really need is to get this whole squad out on the practice range. Shape up our marksmanship and explosive skill. I'm sure the others have their own ideas, though. Okay, I'll be here if you come to your senses.
So let's see what the other people want.
Oh shit, here comes the brown noser. What you want? We don't talk too much, mostly. Poindexter's a smart ass.
Here you have a guy with his
Well,
mouth
Henry is a
covered,
big pussy.
making it harder
Ain't
to
good
do.
for shit in the fight. And Mags? Well, Mags is cut out for something other than soldiering, you dig? Whatever. Not like I need any of them. I do just fine on my own. Ain't much to tell. Grew up out west, in the boneyard. Heard of it? Yeah, not many people have. Wasn't really a good place for kids, you know? I joined up to get out. My family's still back there.
Interesting. So each dialogue conversation here potentially would reveal a new place on the map, maybe.
What do you want to know?
I think I've already
Old place
been
used
the
to be some
boneyard,
kind
though.
of rich bastard resort back before the war. Now the Rangers use the old resort, and we grunts get to live in tents. Fucking typical. Shit, honey, it was this or the Fiends. The Fiends don't last too long in the NCR. At least this way, the badasses with the top shelf guns are on my side. Yo, I'll tell you what this squad needs. A healthy dose of angry juice. Psycho, the big red one. I used to run with the Fiends. I still got the hookups. Smuggle some in and you'll see an improvement.
So one suggestion is to use drugs. As far as we know, the NCR does not use drugs, and that seems immoral.
Whatever. Right.
So we're probably going with Mag's suggestion.
Evening.
Let's talk to the other people, though, first.
Y'all sure are a big old hero. I gotta write my mama and tell her I met you. I ain't scared. I just don't like hurting folks is all. Ma always used to tell me, boy, you're the biggest and the strongest, so you mind yourself. Every day she told me that. Guess I done took it to heart. They're mostly pretty nice. Poindexter showed me how to make fireworks. Raz kind of scares me sometimes, but I don't mind. He's had a hard life. Well, I was born on a farm out in California. Weren't much.
This hairstyle
Me,
is
Mom,
more what I
Pa,
expected for
my two
most of the
sisters, and
characters.
about 40 acres of corn and Brahmin. Didn't ever
But-
have no problems, really, except for some lean years.
Compared to like
Then
the
I joined
punk
up and
spiked
got
up
shipped out
hair,
here
which
to New
doesn't
Vegas.
make any sense in the Fallout universe.
Oh, it's a fine place. The lake is real pretty, and we don't get bothered much by them Legion fellers.
Hmm.
Well, as it turns out, we had a string of bad harvests a few years back. Pa said he couldn't afford to feed but 3 youngins or we'd starve. As the biggest one, it was my job to go join the army so's my sisters could eat, and so's we wouldn't all be killed by raiders, and Jesus would love us. It's all right, I guess. I don't like all the fighting we gotta do, though.
They really bend over backwards to very rarely mention any Christianity in the Fallout universe, which is probably a good thing, because I can't imagine you would create deeper lore if there was more religions post-war that were still Judeo-Christian based.
To me? I'll tell you what I think this squad needs. A little more basic human niceness. That's right. Folks just don't talk to other folks. And everybody's always cross with each other. That'd be swell. Only if they knew the idea came from me, they probably wouldn't take you serious no more. So maybe you ought to think about it first. And I sure hope you're more convincing than I am, or they ain't gonna listen. Whatever you think's best. Toodaloo.
So what this is doing, I think, is giving us 4 different paths based on 4 different
I'm assuming you aren't
stats.
associated with the Army or the Rangers. What can I do for you? In a strictly official capacity, no. However, as I am by far the most intelligent and resourceful figure on this base, I feel it's safe to say the soldiers here look up to me. I suppose if you must stick with your narrow, parochial view of in charge, then yes, it's a no. Are we done? To what purpose? It's highly unlikely you'd understand anything I'd say. Suffice to say, I'm a certified genius, and when I'm discharged from
Remember,
this pit
my
of
intelligence
testosterone and failure,
is at
I'll
10
have all the money
also,
I
so I
ever
could
need.
do intelligence checks.
It's a simple idea. The Army offers fiscal security and generous benefits at the cost of substantial personal risk, if you're on the front line. If you perform too poorly, they'll scrub you out. Perform too well, and you get sent to the front lines. All I have to do is ride that mediocrity gradient to a cushy, do-nothing job miles away from the war. That seems highly illogical. What reason would he have for doing that? Well, this is an unexpected variable. I had hoped to coast on an easy wave of mediocrity to a cushy government pension. Your insults are both unhelpful and unwanted. And what do you propose? As you wish. I'm sure the optimum.
So
It's a
he wants you
simple
to
idea.
cheat.
The Army offers fiscal security and generous benefits at the cost. If you
Okay. So we talked to what looks like all the misfits. Not seeing any more. This guy wants you to cheat with intelligence. This guy wants you to cheat with speech. This one wants you to use drugs. And this one wants you to use explosives and gun ability. Now, inherently, I would side with Mags if all things were equal. Unfortunately, all things are not equal. My explosive stats are pathetically low. My guns are kind of high, but my intelligence is at 10, and my charisma is only at 7. So I think we will just use the intelligence.
You've managed to become and an intriguing proposition.
Maybe we do all 4.
Company readiness reports are logged on the computer systems at the resort. If you hack the system, you could alter our records. Such an attempt, however, is likely to thwart efforts to motivate the squad to do actual work. If such is your goal, you should look elsewhere. As you wish. I'm sure the optimal solution. I somehow...
So they're saying you won't really improve the Misfits if you do that one.
Y'all sure are a big old hero. Did? Okay. Toodaloo.
Convince Mags to respect the squad and convince Raz to respect the squad. And convince Poindexter to respect the squad. Let's see. What about a speech check? Charisma magazine. We probably have plenty of them. Probably won't last that long, though. I don't have a charisma magazine. Maybe they don't
You've
make
managed
one.
to become extraordinarily...
Not sure how we're gonna convince them to respect the squad. So.
Oh shit, here comes the brown noser. What you want? We don't talk to...
So we have to reevaluate.
Shit, maybe you're right. Guess I ought to give him a shot. Right.
Wow.
So we have to go
the
to
big celeb.
things
Yeah.
that we've already discussed.
You really think so? Hell, I guess it's worth a shot. Sure. See you around.
So very easy to overlook those quest options because they're hidden behind things you could
managed to
already
become
have
extraordinarily...
discussed.
In a... You're trying to appeal to my ego. I must admit it's an effective tactic. Alright, I'll help. But only because I want to see if it's even possible.
So an extra 120 XP for doing that versus probably not getting any
I somehow suspect...
any extra XP if we had just given drugs, I'm sure.
We won't go... Y'all sure are a big old hero. Boy, the squad sure is working together a lot better now. I think we're gonna be A-okay.
300 XP for that. Flags of our foul-ups. Funny quest tile. They don't... That really should be in the middle of the screen, though. Just to make sure you see it instead of hiding it in the top left. And frankly, the O'Haran in the top right doesn't make any sense either. It should just be at the top left of the dialogue choice boxes. Which... there is probably some room for some improvement on the dialogue choice boxes. One thing Telltale Games did introduce as a concept is the idea of having just an ABXY style button layout for dialogue choices, limiting every conversation down to at most 4 possibilities of branching dialogue choice paths. A lot of times in Telltale Games, one of the dialogue choices is also to just not respond at all and not press any buttons. But sometimes you'll even have a stay silent button and a timer that will say not respond at all.
Toodaloo.
Okay. So that was a short and sweet side quest. I don't think there's anything more we need to do with that. Now it would just be a matter of finding the next person to talk to. We have a comms officer who is sending fake reports, working for the Legion more than likely. I suspect the right way to do this would be to have the comms officer be like in danger in some way, that in the sense that maybe his family's been kidnapped or enslaved by the Legion, and then we have to go and save the family. If it is just that he is a filthy spy with no remorse and it doesn't lead to any more of a quest, then that would be kind of dull. It's nice to see bigger buildings, but it does kind of highlight how there aren't that much variety in textures, and so a wall on a big building is not going to present much. And then we have these pipes. I don't know what the pipes are all about. These look like bumper cars. I don't know where they would have come from. So inside this place is the non-screw-up NCR agents. Let's see what it looks like when we turn the flashlight on. Yeah, it's still very much a case where on my monitor the brightness looks great. Like I can see everything. But on my second and third monitors, it is a total nightmare of darkness. This building layout is one for one the building layout of, well, at least this room is, of a building you see in one of the DLCs of Fallout 3. And so my suspicion here is that this is just copy and pasted, reskinned. Not a bad idea, but it is kind of weird.
Haven't had any reports from Station Charlie in a while. Hope everything's okay.
Right. Still cannot even take a single item out of the place. We have a lucky 38 VIP key card, which we can take. Interesting. So is he sending out false information because Mr. House has told him to do that? One of the things about hacking is, obviously I'm not good at it, but you want to pick the closest you want to try and figure out what the best starting word is, because if you pick one that's kind of in the middle, you're probably going to lose. Like months here would not have two correct, so that can't be it. Mostly can't have two correct. What we would assume is that the second letter is an A and the third to last letter is a T. Cattle not being it. Settle. Settle can't be it. Of course, it could be that the first word has two different letters than the second word that are correct. Let's just try again. It's not worth really doing any of this. So much of these Bethesda games are time wasters. It's no wonder that people would make mods to avoid the time wasters. I think in part, though, that also highlights where Bethesda is confused about its own strengths and weaknesses, as I think they think that people make mods for their games because they like what Bethesda makes as a base game, when I think it is probably much closer to the case where people are making mods just because Bethesda has made it easy with the creation engine and the Gamebryo engine to make mods. Lucky 38 executive override. I have no idea what all of that is about. See, that obviously is some other quest that we haven't even started.
Evening.
That would have been the terminal that we would have hacked, I imagine. And it's the middle of the night, so everybody's asleep. You can see that these guys are living well. There's pretty obviously a theme going on here between the haves and the have-nots, even in the military. The number of rangers we've actually seen is probably less than 100. So it definitely creates a minimized version of what the reality would be if you were running an army. You would probably see thousands, millions, well, probably not millions, but thousands of soldiers. So I suppose this is supposed to be Mr. House, and this may be Mr. House's house at one time, or it was Mr. House's house. And it definitely feels like they should have just forced us to this location, or forced us to run into Mr. House before this point. I feel like in the Fallout 3 DLC there may have been some paintings still intact of like classic paintings on the walls versus torn paintings like that. It felt a little off-putting to see classic art in a Fallout universe, though. Okay. Locksman Reader, Tales of Chivalry. I'm thinking both of those are books. So this might be... I can't even take the bottle cap, but I can take the Sunset Sarsaparilla bottle cap, which I think were added as DLC. So pretty obviously this is supposed to be a very rich area. I imagine we're not going to find anything of of too high value. And any of the dressers or such. That's a little Tahiti girl. But you see those a lot in Fallout, but they're never interactable. Which, yeah, it would make more sense that you could collect them because they are fairly infrequent. Can't even take a bobby pin. Skates. Bent tin cans. Boxing times. Yeah, the karma system's still not mattering one bit. If anything, I feel like the game should probably force you into learning the karma system by having you steal a bunch of stuff in one area, and then you walk out of that area and then somebody shoots you in the head for stealing things. Just a random negative encounter. Then you would understand what the karma system was at least all about. And that could have been a way that the game could have started, instead of you being shot exclusively for just being a courier at the wrong place at the wrong time. There could have been an earlier mission, tutorial type mission. Still tons of drugs. Which, if I really needed to grind XP, I would pick up all the drugs that I could then turn into the old Mormon fort. I don't like the idea of having tiny little items that you have to put the cursor on to pick up items. I really hate that there are just so many pre-war books around for one perk. Alright, so I found the chief. We have a safe we cannot interact with. And we have an NCR Ranger. So are these two in a relationship, or is this just a random situation in which two characters have been programmed to fall asleep in the closest bed?
I'm occupied at the moment. Come see me when I'm on the balcony.
Interesting. So is he walking to the balcony? Let's just take a quick look at the rest of these areas. See if we can find anything. Toaster in a bathtub. Screams of themes of suicide. You would think a different types of game developer would make this entire area seem unique and bespoke, something separate that was custom made for this area alone. But Nope. Obsidian, Bethesda, Obsidian in this case. More than happy to just randomly place the same nonsense vendor trash and 3D models and textures that play no role whatsoever in the actual game. And it's still very much as a case where less is more. You would be. This is in the corner, I imagine, so you can hack it. Nope, not so much. There's a magazine on top. Yep. Imagine you may end up hacking that anyways. So how does one get to the balcony? I guess you have to go through this door. Let's just wait a couple hours and see if he shows up. Imagine somewhere around 6, 7, or 8 in the morning, he'll just walk out and be on the balcony. There he is.
Back west, you don't see too many of these. Lakes, I mean. Natural or man-made. Any kind, really. We neglected the dams or pumped all the water out a long time ago. Owens, Isabella, the San Luis. Drained the aquifers of everything they had. Just a lot of mud and dust now. It's a different feeling watching the sun come up over the water. Takes some getting used to. But if you're here long enough, it starts to seem normal. That's what a ranger's life is now, looking east. You must be the courier folks have been talking about. Word on the radio is that someone wronged you back in Good Springs. The Mojave has a way of burning decent people up, but it sounds like you've done right by the NCR. It's appreciated. Now what can I do for you?
Quite a long introduction. Let's go with these questions.
Folks around here call me the chief, but handling's just fine. The Rangers run themselves pretty well, but I try to lend a hand. Mostly administrative.
So he does tell you that
coordinate intel on the radio.
Most of the east, most of the middle of the United States seems to be a desert, where they've drained all the aquifers, which that makes a lot of sense to just echo the resource wars pre the bombs falling, and that people just cannot live within the limitations of what nature can provide. And frankly, in any kind of post-apocalypse, you have a Goldilocks zone of where you should live. Rivers that are being offshoots of the ocean are safe, but being too close to the ocean, you're going to have hurricanes and flooding. Too far away from the ocean, you're going to have deserts and drought.
It's a simple system when it works. Patrol rangers radio intel to ranger stations. Comm rangers send the intel up the station chain until it reaches Camp Golf. Then I or one of the other rangers on duty organize the data, evaluate it, and send information to camps or troopers in the field. Comm rangers might have an incomplete picture of the situation. There's a lot going on out there. Intel needs to be coordinated through Golf so we can verify and advise appropriately. Troopers have enough to deal with. We don't want them questioning their intel. Well, the logical thing to do is to check with the patrol rangers and comm officers. Don't be too discouraged if some things don't match up. Different people see different things, and sometimes the meaning gets twisted, lost in static from person to person. I don't know Technical Sergeant Reyes, but coordinating intel can be messy sometimes. Things get mixed up, people get confused. Heck, I get confused, and I've been doing this for a long time now. What he or she sees as a problem might be standard operating procedure. That's not to say Reyes is wrong for being concerned, but it's easy for the sand to get in your eyes out here. Shoot.
So we're getting some redundant stuff here.
The best of the best, worst of the worst. He came out of NCR, one of the followers of the apocalypse. Like a lot of the followers, he went out in the wilderness with a partner to try to help those who needed helping. Not much different from how the Rangers used to be, except with books and medicine instead of guns. Out to the Grand Canyon, he met a missionary from Utah, a man by the name of Joshua Graham. Graham helped translate for the followers and the tribes. All three of them got nabbed by the Blackfoots down there, back when they were still at war with every other tribe in the Southwest.
How did the follower wind up becoming Kaiser?
Somewhere along the way, he realized he needed to educate the Blackfoots or they were going to get wiped out with the rest of the tribe. Showed them how to use guns, how to make explosives. Once he taught the Blackfoots a thing or two, they needed him. And he no longer needed the followers, NCR, or anyone else. He decided he could remake the tribes of the Southwest whether they wanted it or not. He became Caesar, and Joshua Graham became his legate, his right hand. And that's where Graham stayed until Hoover Dam. Losing the dam was the worst defeat the Legion ever suffered. Graham had been with Caesar since the beginning, but he had to set an example. The Praetorians covered Graham in pitch, lit him on fire, and down into the Grand Canyon he went. It's not that clear cut. You have to understand, Graham was the toughest son of a gun anyone around these parts had ever seen. Before Hoover, we had 5 kill reports on Graham from Rangers and 1st Recon sharpshooters who tried to take him out. Some folks think he's still alive. Call him the Burned Man. Yes and no. The Blackfoots don't exist anymore. Just like any other tribe that gets swallowed by the Legion. Caesar takes the tribal out of the tribe. Scrapes and burns off tattoos, breaks up families, forces mixed breeding so all the old loyalties die away. The only tribe in the Legion is the Legion. Caesar is the chief, father, and god, all rolled into one.
Well, we know a lot more about Caesar now than we've gotten so far.
Shoot.
We really shouldn't have been told that information.
It's no secret we've had better campaigns. Holding this whole length of river isn't easy. We're stretched thin and the long 15 just keeps getting longer. Slow to get supplies, slower to get reinforcements. NCR's Senate has got funds tied up at the boneyard. And President Kimball ordered our most experienced rangers to chase ghosts down at Baja. Senate elections are coming up. Local representatives don't want to push any more funding to the Mojave campaign because it's unpopular. Most of the folks around the boneyard haven't been to New Vegas and probably never will. All they know is that their money gets sucked away to this desert and their brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters die here. It's complicated. Goes way back. I told President Kimball that we need more rangers here. He accepted that, but took the most experienced ones and sent them south. Patrol rangers are good men and women, but we're about to fight a war. You've seen it yourself. Some of them don't even have proper service rifles or armor. Our heavy infantry, power armor units, they're back in NCR territory protecting the interests of Brahmin barons against small-time raiders. Brahmin barons only have one vote at the ballot box, but they have a lot of money to throw around. Shoot.
Getting a lot of information. Feels like you shouldn't have reached this spot 40 hours into the game.
Not too long ago, they took Nelson and Searchlight. They got some camps on the eastern shore of the Colorado. And the monstrosity on the hill across the lake, that's for Caesar. Some folks don't believe he's here yet, but you can tell. He's the eye of the storm. It all roils and spins around him. You don't have to see the man to see the effect he has. Nelson was barely set up. We had a big stretch of unprotected land between Forlorn Hope and Searchlight, and Nelson was the solution. A deaconess named Dead Sea took the place and caused a lot of damage. Searchlight was worse. One of Caesar's Frumentari must have found something in there. Flooded the whole camp with radiation.
I don't think we've been to Searchlight. I think we
Shoot.
have been to Nelson.
I could tell you a lot if you had the time.
Ton of
But at
dialogue
my
here.
age, I'm not
Easily,
sure which of us
you should
get
split
tired
this
first.
into two different people.
What do you want to know?
Two different people in two different places.
Suppose it depends on what you think's good. Most folks want to hear about Hoover Dam. If you want
Let's
some
go ahead and
tall
skip.
tales about hunting,
Skip here.
it's kind of a long one, but all right. About 25 years ago, a group of NCR settlers pushed way south into Baja. I guess it doesn't seem so far now if you look at a map, but back then they were out of ways. They built this little shanty town around a well in the middle of nowhere. Called it Rattletail. Word got back to one of our stations that raiders had been attacking the place. I went out with 6 rangers. We must have been on the trail for a week before we got to Rattletail. We lost one woman to night stalkers and another almost died of dehydration. When we reached the place, it's 6 shacks set up around an old well. There's over 24 bodies lying in the dunes way outside of town, and 5 men with 308 rifles crouched behind sandbags. And these bodies, these people out in the sand, they aren't raiders, aren't even heavily armed. They're just people who were trying to get to the only well in 50 miles. I didn't have to talk to the men to see that they did not care one bit. They had planted an NCR flag over the well. They would not budge until every last one of them was laid out, dead and cold. So I walked up and told them there was a group of raiders coming, 100 strong. I made up some cockamamie name for them and everything. The men looked at each other, looked at us, and asked me what we were going to do about it. I told them we would take them back into NCR territory because we'd already lost 10 rangers on the way out. 10 rangers, 5 men with 308 rifles. Well, that was enough for them. They packed up what they could and we took them back north. Last I heard, they settled somewhere in Anza Borrego. Raised bighorners. Had some tough times, but it worked out okay for them. So there you go. That's my one bit of good. In big battles,
Way
Caesar
too much
deploys
dialogue.
his legionaries in waves. Recruits up front, prime soldiers behind the recruits, old guard bringing up the rear. Opponents wear themselves out dealing with the first 2 waves, if they survive that long. When the veterans step up, there's not much fight left. Caesar can adapt, though, and when required, he can run any mix of legionaries as skirmishers and still retain order in the ranks. Joshua Graham, Caesar's old legate, he wasn't so flexible. When the Legion attacked Hoover Dam, General Oliver ordered his troopers back to the middle ground just after first contact. Graham pushed all of the legionaries onto the dam, filling the east side with recruits up front and veterans in the back, by the book. But once they were in, they were stuck there. Oliver's troopers were entrenched and wouldn't give a foot. That's when we ordered the Rangers and the 1st Recon sharpshooters to start picking off veteran Legion officers from a high ridge west of the dam. That only lasted about a minute before Graham ordered the back ranks to push through to the front and rush the ridge. Caused total chaos among the younger
This really is a
legionaries.
great example of where they should show and not
Oliver's
tell.
troopers fell back to the side walkways and stayed out of the veterans' way. By the time the veterans got to the ridge, we were already in Boulder City. They followed us down there, but we were out before they realized what was happening. We'd packed the old city with C4 and dynamite. Crude, but it did the job. Those who didn't die in the blast were in no position to mount a defense. The ones left on the dam didn't know what to do. The troopers routed them. Graham pulled the remaining legionaries back, but the battle was over. He went south, back to the Grand Canyon, back to Caesar. And that was the last we saw or heard from Joshua Graham.
So yeah,
Shoot.
now we know what happened at Boulder City, but boy was that a lot of dialogue all at once. Let's ask it nicely first.
Interesting that she would wrangle someone else into sorting out the problem. But I suppose you're in the right place. A lot of intel comes through here.
We've already asked all these questions.
Shoot.
So let's go with the more aggressive thing.
Hold on. If we're gonna have this conversation, let's go somewhere more private. Don't worry, not much bite left in this old dog.
So now he's gonna make me follow him somewhere more private. In his office. Here's his office down here.
Hey,
Here's his office here. Maybe we'll just follow him. Really slow. Pretty obviously, in any other game, you would just have had him walk through the door and then fast travel to his final location, or you would give the player a cutscene where it would fade out and fade into that location. That is the best way to do it, I imagine. Or you'd have a cutscene where you just have to follow this guy. Or better yet, you just don't write it in a way that you have to move from one location to the other. There we go, we'll even close the door for you.
sorting and manipulating intelligence is what I do. It's what Rangers are supposed to do. This job isn't all gunfighting and gulping shots of whiskey, no matter what the boys and ladies out there say.
But you're inventing your own intelligence reports. I've seen the logs and talked to the Rangers.
You have you? Misdirection. When you're pinned down, outnumbered, and 2 days from any help, it's just about the best friend you can have. Misdirection's what saved me all these years. It's what saved us at Hoover Dam. But it's been 5 years now, and Caesar's right across that lake. He's closer now than he ever was before. I was a young man once. I know what it's like to want to fight for your home. But this isn't it.
Yeah, I don't get what he's doing here. Seems like he just doesn't want to fight.
People back home don't listen. They don't care. Senators, Brahmin barons, folks who are just trying to make it from day to day. It's been so many years that people forget about it. Conscription brings in fresh troops that die here every month, like it's routine. And even if we hold this dam, what then? Are we gonna send the NCR's men and women to die here for another 5 years? 10? Patrol the whole length of the Colorado for hundreds of miles? Holding this dam, it'll be the death of us. Creating fear and instability among the troopers without causing harm. It's the only thing I could think of to shake things up. It took some people getting killed to realize I'd gone too far. I had to stop. It's never gonna end. This fight with Caesar. People back home don't know what these young men and women are in for. The Legion is the worst enemy we've ever faced. But we can't stop Caesar here. Not without getting a lot of good people killed. More than anyone cares to count up. But even if we do stop him, I don't see how we're ever going to be able to pull out.
So it seems like you basically can ask all these questions, but in the end I'm going to have to kill him.
We're fighting on their behalf, but Mr. House and the families are stringing us up inch by inch. They'll drain us dry while we fight and die over this dam. We offered them sanctuary in NCR territory before, but they won't listen. Troopers and rangers have been dying here for more than 5 years while the families sit pretty behind that damn wall. First thing that comes to mind is to turn me in. But that might not be the best play, all things considered. Even if your heart's in the right place, I reckon it might do a lot more harm than good.
What will you do if I don't turn you in?
Oliver can't stand that Rangers got credit for victory at Hoover. Whatever I recommend, he does the opposite. I said I wanted us on the ridge. He put them right on the western part of the dam itself. We don't have enough firepower to hold that spot. If the troopers fall back, and they will, the Rangers will advance to cover Oliver's retreat. We lose the dam, Oliver in the center ruined. Rangers are volunteers. Every man and woman who signs up is willing to die for the NCR, myself included. A lot of this is my fault. It's only right.
So he's giving me the choice to basically either try and end the war by destroying the NCR from the inside, which then probably just leads to the Rangers and more anarchy. Let's see. Let's go with that's crazy.
Maybe 50 Rangers will die on that dam. We lose over 1,000 troopers every year. Being here is crazy. Getting out's the only sane thing to do.
So he's really just kind of a coward.
Fair enough. You want to do this the right way, go get one of the Rangers. Don't worry, I'm not going to run out on you.
He's probably going to shoot himself, I would think.
Rangers, this is the chief. I know I can ramble on sometimes, but I need you to listen close for the next minute or so.
We've
I've got
monitored
some bad
Ranger
news.
activity all through the region
I
with
messed
assistance
up.
here.
Made a mistake. I thought I could help us get out of here, but it didn't work out. I messed up. Made a mistake. I thought I could help us get out of here, but it didn't work out. Rangers get injured all the time. It's part of the job.
Repeating the same line of dialogues.
Get a bad break. That's it. You
Hard
start
to
down.
believe this place used to be a luxury.
Rangers get injured all the time.
So it resets the dialogue every time I try and talk to a
If you
ranger.
lose a few fingers, get a bad break. That's it. You
You
step
should
down.
talk to Chief Hanlon if you have any
We
questions.
rely
He's
on
usually
each
up
other
on the
too
balcony.
much to let our infirmities become a liability. The ranger knows when it's time. Only I didn't. We rely on each other too much to let our infirmities become a liability. The ranger knows when it's time.
This is glitching.
Only I didn't. Somewhere along the way, something broke inside me. I couldn't find us a way out of this.
He's
desert.
gonna talk too long.
I wrestled with it, and it took me wish I could explain it to you. The old chief finally at a loss for words. Send me all the legion you can. I'll be waiting for it. Send me all the legion you can. I'll be waiting for it.
That shot came from the chief's office.
500 XP. Then we can see him opening the door.
Chief, why did you do it?
And so he's just killed himself. Whoops. Anybody else gonna be mad at me for seeing that I stole things? Or can we get away with just killing 2 people? Let's make a safety save. Otherwise we're gonna have to load the autosave. And then before we walk to a door, let's go and walk by other rangers and just see if they're hostile. Nope.
We can monitor ranger activity all through the region with the systems here.
Okay, it seems like we're safe there. So that's the end of that quest. And doesn't seem like we even have to do anything more. So we've been focusing on the NCR war. Let's see if this brings us to the proper war actions.
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for nuclear.
Let's see. Might be worth just checking to see how much stuff we have. 12 for medium armor versus 8 for light. Wonder if it really matters.
For winter.
We'll use the NCR outfit while doing this quest.
You must be new around here. Something I can do for you? Are you ready? We have a decent amount of men, but it'll be a close battle. If you help out more around camp, I could probably spare some additional troops. Come back when you're ready.
Yeah, I guess the question would come down to, are there possibly any more things I can do around camp? Let's just run around, because we really know there's only the doctor.
You're new, aren't you?
I don't know why they say I'm new.
I was a more...
I'm not new. These people should know me. You're still dressed as an NCR person. This guy was a druggie. Turned himself in for stealing drugs. Convinced him to turn himself in for stealing drugs. This guy wanted legionnaires.
New gal, eh? It's showing improvement. See you later.
Apparently that has already been done as a quest, because he's no longer accepting legionnaires and I am no longer collecting them. Apparently I didn't kill enough Legionnaire men to get Legion ears to win the challenge, I guess. Nobody named in the mess hall. No named characters. It is probably worth it to check. We were picking up all of those magazines, and we were hoping one of them would actually be a book. But I'm not sure any of them actually are books. And that is still an annoyance that I've noticed, is that there's very few books to be found. It's almost like I took the perk that would give you twice the amount of skills for reading a book, and to contrast that, they have decided to reduce the number of books you can find in half just to balance it out. Need a lockpick of 100 to get in there.
I still don't have any supplies. Hey, you've been a big help. You're welcome. I don't have any.
All I could do is sell things to him. Really don't have a lot to sell to him either. Do I have any Nuka-Colas? Those would be one thing to sell. Nope. So unless I wanted to sell bullets to him.
Another satisfied customer. Uh-huh.
Can we be hidden and unseen and pick the door? I don't think we can. Or is our lockpicking magazines? Do we even have any of them? So we lose some karma by sneaking in here. And what are we gonna find for doing this? Not much. I don't know what we really expected to find in the storehouse. I'm not even sure we got experience for sneaking in here. Yep. So there's basically nothing in here. There's just no point in doing that. And that's how we flung that away.
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
So as far as I can tell, Camp Forlorn Hope is settled. I want this big book of science though, which will still, and nobody will see. And that is something that would give us 4 more science.
I heard you've been helping out Quartermaster. We've been reinforced fairly well thanks to your help. I'd say the odds are in our favor. However, if you help out a little more around the camp, we'd be in a good enough position to send our best men to help retake Nelson. Watch yourself out there.
Interesting. So the game is telling me don't do it now. Go and do something else instead and find more, probably dog tags. Lucky Gem Mine. I guess been there. Wondering if we found any new locations on the map just by people talking to us, telling us about locations. Still have this sharecropping. We have this entrance and this entrance. And we still have Jacobstown, which we could go, and we have a Red Rock Canyon. What I'd really like to see, though, is I would like to just see Sloan. Like, we've wanted to figure out the deal with Sloan for a long time now. Here you have a hauled rock. Since we have some shovels, we can, guess, loot some burial mounds. Not a lot of them. So, I'm not really doing any quest at all. The next quest is to move the main story forward, as far as I can tell. We could also do this quest, and we could do these extra quests, but more realistically, the next quest would be this one. But that's not what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on going this way, which they're saying it would be dangerous and there would be death claws if we went in that direction. So, am I safe enough with my new companion to take on death claws, particularly death claws that may not be blind? There's a real question whether you can't just walk around the edges. Right. Thanks for the reminder to say I'm still dressed as an NCR person. Medicine +5. Broken items can't be equipped. So just no outfit at all.
Fine by me.
Let's see, he's wearing what is he wearing? Leather armor reinforced. So we'll take that. And we'll see if we can take these other outfits. Am I gonna use this gun pushy? I don't think it's actually a gun. I think it's a gauntlet. So it does look like he was able to take all the items I gave him, and it is pretty obvious that you want to have your highest defense on yourself, not on your first aid person or your companion. That's what I mean. Yep, because the companion just re-heals. There doesn't seem like there's anything here, though. So unless you were just gonna sleep. So there's a bunch of rad scorpions in this direction. Yeah, I don't know why I can't just take this north road. I think we're probably going to find Quarry Junction. I think we may very well just take on Death Stalkers. Death Claws, whatever they're called. This could turn out to be a mistake. We'll find out, I think, fairly quickly if it is. This feels like this is just an invisible wall, so you can't come from that direction. Now, in the previous Fallout games, Death Claws do feel like they just kind of appear out of nowhere. Like, I don't know if they rise up from the ground or if they just spawn from behind what you can see and spawn backwards. It may also be that this is just straight up a lie, and that the powder gangers are lying about there being death claws in this area. Or maybe we've... yeah. It really wouldn't have to be actual death claws, you would just have to convince people that there were. Don't think I'm supposed to just climb up the wall there. So we're right next to Sloan. We didn't see a single death claw. Maybe we'll see evidence of death claws being... Why am I out of outfit again? I didn't equip it, did I? It's real easy to not realize what you're doing as far as the equipment. So we have a character named Snuffles. So we can't talk to Snuffles. I imagine you could never talk to Snuffles. It'd be funny if you got some perk that let you talk to animals. Quarry worker.
Man, I wish
Quarry
I'd stay
worker.
back in California some days.
Duck and cover. Really don't care about getting there items.
I hope they don't close the quarry. I need them.
So duck and cover is another book. Explosive increased by 4. We'll take the bottle caps, but finding 7 bottle caps is kind of pointless. And having the game crash again. Very consistent Fallout New Vegas is as far as its crashes. In that case, I would half suspect what it was trying to do was save while the save files may already been open, because we walked out of one place where autosave would have had it save, and so it may be that the save files are so big now, it's taking so long that the file is open and you're running into an unprogrammed error there. There's a recommended style of programming as far as catching errors, catching exceptions is what it's called. Donation box. Interesting. Are we going to get into a more religious aspect here? There was, I think it was called the Republic of Dave, was one of the locations in Fallout 3 that had a cult-like feeling to it. Weirdly, yeah, when you start to think of locations like the Republic of Dave, and when you start to remember that compared to Fallout 3, none of the locations in Fallout New Vegas are anywhere as interesting. Yep. I just don't have a unique story for each location. Or that there are maybe small unique stories, but they are not anything great. In the Republic of Dave, you went into a building like this and there was like 12 different characters all talking to you. This is a massive amount of bottle caps. You kinda can't. You can't ignore that much bottle caps. That's 1,000 bottle caps. You can't ignore sunset sarsaparillas, but
Jazz screwed up the coffee again. Wouldn't drink it if I were you.
so it seems crazy that let's drink about 5 of these. Like, it's really crazy that I gave my cantina away, and playing on very easy, it still doesn't seem like there's any time you actually get thirsty. So they gave you a cantina effectively just so you would maintain realism.
Hey, let me ask you a question. What's the tastiest thing you've ever eaten?
There was a character in Fallout 3 that looked, I think, almost exactly like this character, and was a fairly common shopkeeper that you'd run into. Fairly well written.
Yeah, can you believe some people still eat that stuff? Anyway, I've got this recipe for a Deathclaw omelet that I've been itching to try out. Trouble is, I need a Deathclaw egg. Kinda obvious, I suppose. My great-aunt Rose ran a bed and breakfast back in California, in a town called Modoc. She's the one who created the recipe in the first place. I don't know how she managed to get a hold of a female Deathclaw, but she kept it in a shed. Aunt Rose had a steady supply of eggs for her omelets. At least, she did until some stranger came along and killed the Deathclaw. Shot it right in the eye.
I assume this is probably a reference to a previous Fallout game.
The quarry just north of here is full of Deathclaws, so there's bound to be an egg or two in there somewhere. Of course, a Deathclaw egg from anywhere will do, according to my Aunt Rose. I don't have much in the way of... Sure.
Let's exhaust all the dialogue like we care.
The...
Okay.
Sure.
So does she have anything of value worth purchasing? No, it's just food. And nothing special in the food anyways.
Alright then.
So that's another side quest though, where it's not really a main quest. And I imagine you could just do it over and over again. And if Eddie was somewhere around here, let's just make sure. And if I was automatically drinking something else like Sunset Sarsaparillas or Nuka-Colas, you would hear the bottle opening and you would receive a bottle cap. Okay. So we found Sloan. Let's work our way to the quarry. Was there anything more really to see of Sloan? Feels like once again they're just gonna tell you that there's a bunch of Deathclaws in this area, or just north of Sloan.
Can't believe anyone actually made it through from the north, what with all the Deathclaws at the quarry. You returning from New Vegas? I'd noticed Snuffles limping, but I didn't realize the problem was that serious. Thanks. They moved into the quarry after the powder gangers came through and made off with most of our dynamite. We shut the quarry down while we waited for the NCR to get us some more blasting sticks, but now the Deathclaws have shown up. The NCR is a no-show, and my men and I have
proving
got nothing
themselves to be
but sit
fairly
on our
useless.
asses all day. It's I don't know what it is about you, but I think you could actually pull it off. Deathclaws are tough bath. Nobody here is any use to you in a fight against Deathclaws, but take these. To do the job right, you've got to get rid of the pack leaders, the Mother Deathclaw and the Deathclaw Alpha Male. There are a bunch of escaped cons from down south. The NCR was used. I don't know who screwed up.
Too much dialogue.
I can't. Okay. This is Sloan, a camp for us quarry workers. The actual quarry jump. Wish we got paid. It all gets shipped by rail over towards Boulder City and Hoover Dam. It's a big machine which moves rocks around, piles at a time. Nope. The NCR has been trying to switch over to using paper money, just like in the pre-war days. For example, $100 in NCR money is valued at roughly half that in caps around here. Sure. I've been there once. I've seen a lot of... If you insist on going north, don't be...
So yeah, just a lot of dialogue there I don't really care to even engage with. None of that led to an actual quest. Just map-wise. Seems like we are going to take on Death Claws, which will give us a great opportunity, certainly, to find any XPs and level up some more. Seems like you have to get somewhat in the area. So that was a young Deathclaw, not blind. If we don't get too overwhelmed by them, we should be fairly alright. Here we have a powder ganger. And if we were to cross that direction, we would get to a Deathclaw, and that would be your path directly to New Vegas, which kind of feels like it would really lead you closer to the Repcon headquarters, because seems like you probably just hit Vault 3. Weirdly, it feels like you could play the game by going left instead of right, but realistically, you're not going to be leveled up enough, so they made a pretty awful experience where you have to go in circles to get to New Vegas. But it's kind of hard to criticize that too, because obviously that was their intention. My gun and perception, either my perception or my gun, I think it's the gun, highlights enemies in red on top of the compass pointing things in red. And the real danger here, I guess, would be if they got too close. There's a Deathclaw hand and a Deathclaw egg. And remember, our health is supposed to regenerate, but I almost wonder if it doesn't regenerate until you sleep. But then sleeping would have always healed you. So I don't know why I bought regenerative armor, which doesn't seem like it does anything. Does make some sense, I think, to probably try and keep the high ground. I'm probably running low on bullets, and these guys are not giving me new bullets. So that is a consideration to think about. You would think, particularly if you were to compare this to like a Borderlands experience, that there would be locations to place dynamite or trackers or something. Have a reason to run around this quarry. But yeah, there's nothing here. would there possibly be a spot we need to find as far as where the Alpha Deathclaw would be? Have we even found the quarry? Deathclaw baby, Deathclaw baby, Deathclaw mother. Well, we found the Deathclaw mother. Should we take out the Deathclaw mother now, or should we find Alpha Deathclaw? And anytime anybody uses the phrase alpha, it's worth mentioning that the scientific studies that introduced the idea of an alpha male were severely flawed and have been rejected by even the people who submitted the studies as being wrong, and retracted those statements that the alpha males they thought they saw in wolf's packs were actually just the mothers and fathers of family units of wolves. And yet there is certainly a lot of people who have tried to wrap that alpha male thought to humans when it was never even intended to be applied to humans who can think more than a wolf can, certainly. It's interesting, you can notice that the mother Deathclaw here has a belly and has been designed to show like she's more pregnant. Programming wise though, there's the alpha male, and I think he may have straight up taken out my team. Yeah, in one swipe there he did a high amount of damage. Let's make sure we're on the most powerful weapon we can do. $111. That gun, tri-beam laser rifle. Not advances. Yeah, we are on the best one we can fight with. Now my guys need to run. So Deathclaws can kill us.
Hold up. There. If
we'll just exhaust all of this dialogue.
If you
And try again. The move is probably to take it fairly slow and take out the alpha before you take out the mother. Now, my only slight concern here is that the mother, I'm gonna have to actually help here. She might be spawning children deathclaws throughout the whole process. So those little baby deathclaws might be growing up into young deathclaws and attacking. I just don't think it's wise to go to a lower location. Taking more of my attention. Let's see what happens if we try to take this area and getting higher. Well, at least we get the Quarry Junction location. But if I was to try, I'm probably going to fall to my death at this point. Yep, that nearly killed me. I'm surprised it didn't. And then there's a Deathclaw that got up there. Alright, so we see the Deathclaw alpha male. We see this Deathclaw. So if I run up to this section and clear it, this will probably be a good tactical place to shoot down. I think that was the mother. Let's Go ahead and make a safety save. See, I'm thinking that's the mother. Nope, that's just a regular death claw. That's a death claw. Where did the alpha male move to? Seems like they kind of just don't spawn. It definitely feels like the other death claws. Are already there, so running out of super stim packs. Here we've got our alpha male. And I need my health absolutely full if I'm gonna win here. Now remember, they gave me like 5 stim packs. And even at my fairly high level, I think we're at like level 22 or something. I'm going through stim packs like crazy. It's imbalanced, to say the least. You'd think for every Deathclaw you'd get 2 Deathclaw hands. Okay. I think my companions may have been knocked out. That would be my guess. So now they have refilled. Although, where's Eddie? There he is. So I assume they were knocked out. Just make another safety save. I may actually run out of 1,000 saves at this rate. Yeah, if we were to just sit here, it would take forever to refill our health. It would just make more sense to just wait an hour. If that was what you were going to do. So we got the alpha dead. If we killed the mother, would that automatically clear out the rest of the Deathclaws and kill them and give us a bunch of XP, or would it just rob us of the chance of getting more XP fighting the Deathclaws? That being said, probably now is the worst time to try and get extra XP, since these Deathclaws are exhausting what was really a massive pile of stim packs. Eddie is unconscious. Again. Just waiting here to see if he's gonna revitalize. Eddie, incredibly helpful in every kind of fight so far. Not helpful in these fights. Which, okay, so an electric robot that can shoot almost anything is probably not strong enough to fight Nightkin, super mutants, and your generic death claws. This would be the one place where having a rocket launcher would be helpful. Well, the mother Deathclaw goes berserk at the deaths of her babies. Good to know. Also, I am out of bullets. We didn't get a Deathclaw egg yet, either. Here's the mother Deathclaw. Good news is, it's already very damaged. And Eddie can just take out all of them. That gave me 150 XP. I guess I'm gonna hold on to this gun for a moment. But I need to stop using it fairly quickly. There's nothing in the water. So if we liberate this quarry, they can make more rocks, which could help the NCR. Looks like most of these buildings are not accessible buildings, though. Man, is the healing process just way too slow. Yep, I don't know how you're even gonna... How they wouldn't have known that and recognized that. That after a fight, wandering around and trying to get your health to refill should not take entire minutes. Although it is basically the case that these games are balanced around the idea of wasting 10 minutes here, 5 minutes here, there. That is just your experience. Both my companions are following me. I think there's probably a few more Deathclaws we can kill. But we've overall accomplished the goal. I'm not going to get too much of a reward around it. Let's see. Where is this on the map? This road, somewhere around here is a road. Feels like it could have just been your road to get to New Vegas. But it's important to point out, had we come up to Sloan, had we stolen 1,000 caps, maybe in that one situation you would have been able. Oh, we have some great con people there. Seemingly friendly with us. Let's talk to him.
That's close enough. What do you want with the Great Khans? We're an independent group. We take care of our own and don't take crap from anybody, especially the NCR. Bitter Springs happened. Women and children died when the NCR attacked the Great Khans there, and the NCR just pretends it never happened. Our main camp is up in Red Rock Canyon, but we don't allow just anyone to come in. The NCR can't touch us there. Too many places for us to ambush them. We see their scouts poking around once in a while, but they keep their distance. It wasn't easy. There's a lot of initiation rituals to go through, and I've got the scars to prove it. But in the end, I was tough enough to be made a member. Proudest day of my life.
So they're kind of a gang. And their anti-NCR sentiment may be true, but the beat in, beat out mentality
like what?
Screams brutality.
Don't leave a trail.
Do I really have any reason to kill these people, though? Not really. I don't see a reason to ruin the relationship before it's even started. There might be entire quests in which we can pretend to be on the Great Khan's side. That seems like that is the move. If you want a great experience in this game, is that you have to toy at least with the idea of siding with people that morally I wouldn't really choose to side with. Finding large bits of rock in the Mojave Desert might be very difficult. The wind potentially grinding everything to sand. And yeah, you would think there might be an achievement or something for reaching this spot, but I don't think there really is. I'm about to fall to my death. Here's an interesting question. If I'm in the air, but otherwise could fast travel, there's probably an invisible fence here. Would I be able to fast travel? No, doesn't seem like it because it doesn't feel like you can. Nope, can't fast travel while jumping or falling. It says it straight up. It would be a little unfair if you could avoid fall damage just by fast traveling, but most players wouldn't even bother to do that.
Hey there, what's new?
Let's go ahead and give her the Deathclaw helmet.
I can't believe you actually got one. Give me.
So fade to black, fade out. So the game knows you can do that.
Here's your omelet and the recipe if you ever want to make your own. All right then.
So now we have a recipe. We have this confession if we ever want to listen to it, and we have access codes.
Rangers, this is the chief. I know I can ramble on.
I don't know why I would listen to that. More radio stations in this area. So you might think that that would be a useful recipe, but it really isn't.
I hope they don't close the quarry. I need the money.
Let's see. Overcharge packs. Overcharge. I need to find somebody with a lot of money so that I can then sell bullets. Which, speaking of which, since I have no bullets for the weapon I'm equipping, I need to decide what my next gun is going to be. I think we are falling back to the 10mm shotgun. And then just a whole bunch of stuff here, and unless it was a book, I wouldn't bother stealing it. Not sure why they even would be upset of you going into the machine shop. This is the mining office. Is there anybody here? No. We'll talk to Snuffles. See if we can find anything there. Workers' barracks. So it seems to me like Sloane's main guy is here.
You need something? Coming from anyone else, I'd say they were drunk or crazy. But that look in your eyes, I believe you. I can pay you, but it ain't much for what you pulled off. I'll get on the ham radio first thing and tell people all about you, though.
NCR fame gained, and I got 5
You need something?
100 NCR
Yep.
dollars. Okay. The weird thing about this is I guess we are just going to walk up this path and see if we can get to New Vegas, because the bottom 2/3 of the map at the moment feel like we have done everything, although in reality we probably would have done most of the bottom 2/3 of the map 4 or 5 hours ago. Jacobstown and Red Rock Canyon are exceptions, so we could set our marker that way. And walk to Red Rock Canyon and see if we could get on the side of the Great Khans. The problem here is I need just generic raiders who would drop leather armor, or I need a salesman who I can buy leather armor from, one or the other. And we so far have not done anything with Boone. So Boone's quests only get triggered by guys are gonna throw grenades at me. Suppose dynamite's of some value. It's funny, they're in a powder ganger outfit, but they're topless. I think we may find that, yeah, I'll start finding more stim packs. That's my suspicion as to how all this is going to go. Am I facing the right direction? Nope, I went the wrong direction. This took me deeper towards the powder ganger territory. I didn't even recognize it. Here we have a bright follower. Weird to find a bright follower this far away from Repco headquarters. I'd definitely like to see, if you're going to make open world games, which I still don't feel like you really should. It'd be interesting if I tried to play something like Cyberpunk 2077 now and try to make that kind of comparison, now that Cyberpunk 2077 is also a finished game and they're not going to add any more content to it. But also, games like that pride themselves on having cars that can drive around. Red Dead Redemption might be a good example of a game that would benefit because you have a horse that can make you walk around, or The Witcher 3, same thing. If you have horses moving you at twice the speed, it is a little crazy that you would set something in this cowboy-esque themed world and that there wouldn't be any kind of animal that you could domesticate, or a nuclear-powered electric horse that you could ride. You could take all this garbage. I don't know why it would. Trying to see where we are on the map. Yep, this zigzag pattern would take us eventually up that direction. There definitely are going to be spots on the map where my feet will never touch. Large spots. Yep. But yeah, once you get past the powder gangers and past Sloan, it's downright empty. I definitely need raiders to attack me, and I feel like in Fallout 3 they did a much better job at that. Uh-oh. I don't know what I can do here. Let's see. Super stim packs first of all, and then I need something else. Strength, HP, endurance buff out. Jet. We usually don't take drugs, and medics. But if ever there was a time to use drugs, now would be the time. I see another death claw over here.
Oh my.
Wait till it gets closer. We'll just do torso shots. Where's the ash pile of the other one? Well, I definitely wasn't expecting that still to be Deathclaw territory. Have a lot of bullets, but they're not very strong bullets. Looks like there might be some more. Legionnaire assassins. These guys love to just show up in places where they are unexpected. In a lot of ways, they feel like these are your sources of armor and resources, if you're going to get any source of armor and resources. So maybe the idea is that you would have a better time in this game if you irritated more of the factions and got on their bad side. There's... What was that? That was a ridiculous way for Boone to be corrected. Why not just have them spawn behind you in that case? If you don't have an animation where they can stand up correctly. I think I might be totally out of Sunset Sarsaparillas. Nope. Okay. The question to ask here will definitely be, can we find a good weapon? Or can we find better armor without wearing Legion armor? See what we can give this guy. Brush gun. See if we can line up the weapons. You know, it's probably best just to give him all the weapons and then go back and investigate what, if anything, I might be able to repair more of. So this 10mm pistol doesn't do enough damage. Okay. We'll take the two incinerators and merge them. We'll take the two machetes. pushy. We can't use. Take the 2 super sledges. Then I wonder if he can actually wear some of the outfits. He might turn out to be a really, really good character to have around, because he might be able to hold on to the faction armor. Let's see, he can't wear Legion stuff or Powder Ganger stuff, but he can take NCR stuff because he is in the NCR. So then the only real question to worry about after that would be, does that mean people will attack him for wearing NCR faction armor? Well, probably not, considering how Veronica was wearing Brotherhood of Steel power armor, and, well, she was wearing power armor at least, and there didn't seem like there was any real problem with that happening. And so we're going to come to a split point here, and it feels like anytime there would be an intersection, there would be a reason for a fast travel point to spawn. This train station, for instance. If this was going to be like Fallout 4 and we were going to revitalize the train stations, that's going to be an incredibly late game experience. So I suspect that's not going to happen. If it is going to happen because of some decision at the end of the game, and then it will just be a post-game world where the train stations are. All the drugs are now wearing off. We're getting 50 XP because the death guy showed up. Well, this is going to be a great point, I guess, to end the episode, too. See, I really don't want to put any more skills into science, because I may just find books eventually. Same is kind of true with sneak. Like, once I get something to 80, I want to just kind of leave it. So, barter or guns. Seems to me like it would make more sense to go to 75 on guns, and that gives us 1 point, which I guess we could put into barter. As far as quest items, as long as we can still take intensive training, it almost certainly doesn't make sense to take any more quest items otherwise. But there are definitely some interesting quest items. There's some ones you probably would like to just mod out, like being able to carry more stuff. But then there was also one that would let you repair things with a wider variety of items, and that seems like that would be a nice one. Sniper might be interesting. Light step is a perk that, if you could get it really early, maybe makes some sense, but because this alone might get you a level up just by not setting off mines, and then you could look down and see the mines, assuming you ever do look down and see the mines, to disarm them to get XP for disarming them. I really would like Action Girl. But I don't think there's... Explorer would be the one you want to take at the very end. That's our last level up that we'd want to take. And this ferocious reader might actually be useful. So, Old Way Gourmet needs our survival at 45 and our endurance at 6. So we've got a couple of perks because our survival isn't high enough. Run 10% faster if you're wearing light armor or no armor. That should be just modded into the game. Special explosive recipes. Barter at 70. Items of weight 2 or less weigh half as much for you. Ooh, that could be very useful. But I don't know how useful that really is. It's items with a weight of 2 or less weigh half as much. So big things still are going to weigh the same amount. This is another survival thing. It's quite a lot here. Still haven't found how to become a cannibal. Weapons heavier than 10 pounds now weigh half as much for you. Heavyweight would be better perk to take. Why can I not take it though? I would think my strength is already at 7. It really does suck that there is quite a few perks here that look interesting, but you're just not going to reach it. Yeah, this jury rigging would require me to get my repair to 90. Yeah. There's just a lot of more quests. We're at level 24. We know level 50. So we're almost at the exact midpoint. And yet intensive training still is the one to focus on. And we want to get our sneak skills up, so we're going to bring up agility more. At least that time, that was a more realistic way for him to stand up. So agility is at 9, which should have given us 2 more as far as sneak goes. And we have Red Rock Canyon to visit, which we could potentially go to Vault 3. It seems to me like you probably reach Red Rock Canyon by going here and finding things. I would have thought that we would have done more with Boone as far as his companion quest, but maybe it just doesn't trigger until we get to the Legion area, which I don't feel like I'm safe to go to the Legion area. I feel like the Legion, being humans, being well equipped, are going to. This is an odd poster, just in the sense that there's not much there. And we are moving away from fighting the death claws to just fighting geckos. So we have a powder ganger, a laser rifle, and a powder ganger. I'm over encumbered. Part of that is definitely my fault for not repairing anything. I took all this items to repair them and didn't do it. And what do we expect to find in this building? If this was Fallout 3, I would expect to find new and intriguing content that is unique. What it really feels like, there's probably some booby traps if I was to guess, is that it feels like in Fallout 3 they had interns make entire missions, or maybe not interns, I'm making an assumption there, but they had individual people take ownership of specific missions and just write their own encounters, write their own stories, and be proud of it, and then merge it together in a larger open world game where thematically it doesn't have to be that consistent. Whereas everything here feels like it is following very bland and generic experience. Doesn't feel like there's any care put on any of it. It's just like, oh, we need a house here because it's too empty otherwise, or just because we randomly decided to put a house in that spot. Can we get over this barbed wire fence? No, but we can walk around it. Not sure why the fence needed to be there. There's nothing in this building. Still weird, the seesaws don't fall downward. No physics on that. That's something you would expect a modern game to deal with and have. Okay. Let's see if we can find one more location, and then we'll call it a day. Death claws again. Just run backwards and let your companions take them out. We're not going to level up again for a while. I'm glad the game though is confirming that this is Deathclaw's territory and it wasn't just a lie. if we started to get only 25 XP for killing a Deathclaw, then we'd be in a real bad position, because I don't think we're gonna run into any other creatures or enemies. At that point, it would just start to feel less and less important to even bother to try and hunt and grind up the levels. It's worth certainly questioning what would your experience be if you didn't really care for this is powder gangers. If you didn't care for the grind, if you weren't going for any of that, you probably would be somewhere around half as leveled up as I am now. It might be a case that the game is putting the enemies you've made in these spots, and that you would just always be at odds with one faction. Yeah, that I suppose is a possibility. Otherwise, if you could be friendly with the powder gangers in every other faction, are you potentially never going to engage in any conflict? The game is not balanced enough for you to avoid conflict. Interesting notes there. So maybe we were supposed to investigate this location at some point. I'm not even sure who I'd report that note to. Okay. And I think we are once again in a overabundant situation. And I can't wear. I just lost my outfit because I took it off. Oh, this is irritating. Okay.
Fine by me.
We want to fill his inventory. Caravan shotgun might be a consideration.
It's gonna be hard covering you when I can't move my legs.
So he can't carry anymore. I don't want to get rid of the assault carbine just because I'm low on bullets, but this would be the exact situation where you would think that you would start to be able to craft bullets for. It's just not really the case. No, he can't wear Legion armor. Can he take Powder Ganger armor? Well, gonna potentially make it below 100 weight. I'm not going to drink Nuka-Colas anymore, so I'm going to just sell them. More valuable that way. Sunset sarsaparillas, we're trying to get rid of all of them. It's taken a very long time. And here you have a wasteland omelet. Do we have any other miscellaneous things we can sell that take up weight? Deathclaw hands. Duct tape. Fire gecko hide. I guess that is everything. So we're down to like 79 weight. So that should give me it's gonna give me some stuff. Unfortunately, it's not gonna help me with the fact that I don't have any armor on. So our stats are really great, but there is fairly low survival, and getting survival up to 45, 50, 70 seems to unlock a long list of perks that would be available. And I guess that's pretty much the only goal we can have, is to have all the perks available to us and maybe make a special safety save before we hit our last perk, in case we did just want to run around and play with those perks. It would be much nicer, certainly, if there was an abilities where they let you try out the perks for a brief moment of time. If the magazines did that instead, that would be cool. The number of perks we've gotten otherwise has been fairly high, considering we haven't been working towards them, but really hasn't changed the game too much either. We now can see, I think, pretty much all of the factions that we're going to run into, with Caesar's Legion being the only one that we're vilified against. Seems very much like you could have been on the idolized side with both Caesar and NCR until you decide to pick a side. As far as main quests go, we've only done 31. We have discovered 100 locations. It doesn't seem like I got an actual achievement for that. In fact, the last achievement I got was for finishing the main quest, Return the Sender, it seems, as I look at it on my second monitor. We have now taken some drugs, so some of these stats might go up a little bit more, but still a lot of this seems like items you're not going to really deal with. I do have a slight concern that what would happen is we would end up really spending way too much time playing gambling mini games in Las Vegas. So moving the main story forward, I think, does make a decent amount of sense. I'm just gonna try this caravan shotgun with no armor, because I don't have any armor. It wouldn't be faction armor, and you'd think they would label it better, whether it's faction armor. There should be like a little asterisk or a symbol between faction armor. Still got way too many magazines, which, in fairness, I could sell the magazines. That would get me 100 caps. And we have 12,000 caps right now, so it is somewhat questionable as far as what the next thing is even going to be that we need caps for. Otherwise, we may just be saving caps for gambling. Still way too many bullets, way too many items like Violetta's head or Violetta's brain and Violet's head that we just don't even know why we picked up that stuff. We haven't even started the quest. Main game wants us to go this way, which they're suggesting going all the way to Freeside and through Freeside to enter, instead of just using Camp McCarran and the monorail to enter. I assume you just can't enter on this side at all. So, yeah. Meanwhile, my goal is to follow this path and this path to check out Red Rock Canyon and see if that distracts us further. We're looking for quests while not trying to push the main story forward. This is taking way too long. These episodes are getting longer and longer. And at the end of each of these episodes, it doesn't feel like we've accomplished that much. It would be difficult to do it. The easiest way would be to simply have a mod that would increase your speed. And since we know the game can increase your speed by 10% via a perk, I would say a mod that increased your speed by somewhere around 30 to 40% by default would be a great way to take an old game like this and just modernize it and respect the player's time a little bit more. All of a sudden, if you are maybe slowed down when you're in a fight area, when there's enemies around, that might make sense. But if you are just in the open world and nothing's happening, making it take so long to get from point A to point B doesn't respect the player's time. Yep. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, and keep on watching. Thanks.